Hi everyone, John Han with the Pulsing Cinema. The movie of the day is The Room, the Tommy Wiseau 2003 masterpiece, financed by, written, produced, and directed by the great mystery that is Tommy Wiseau. This movie had followed me for many years because I remember I was in Los Angeles for a time and I saw the billboard in Highland because Tommy Wiseau financed this movie and released it, and he had this billboard for years in Los Angeles. There was this gigantic billboard from the movie with a phone number where you could RSVP. And then there were like, look, he placed made television ads. He put the trailer in local television, which I was watching. There's some weird public television in Los Angeles, some weird screwed up stuff like religious puppet shows, and Shelley Winters was at that time had a public access show where she just talk about acting and stuff, and all kinds of weird stuff that really never gets out of Los Angeles. It's just odd crap. And so me and my friend would see this trailer for The Room and be like, what the hell, and then it became this cult thing, and it just kept building and building and building. And I had stayed away from watching it for many years. I was kind of scared, but finally it played at the Draft House here, and it was just a split-second decision. I see because it's starting to become a monthly thing here in Austin, and at a Draft House location they play it every month. And Greg Sestero, Mark, was in attendance, selling his book, The Disaster Artist, signing his book. And the guy who played the gangster with the gun, who was threatening Denny, I forget his name, was there. And it was a great event. Great seeing Greg there. Great seeing everybody there. And it was the first time I'd ever seen the movie. The first time I'd ever seen The Room. Oh my God! Oh my God! My God! My God! What a It was the perfect experience. I'm so glad I had waited. I had not seen it on video. Seeing The Room is an experience. It's a cult movie. It's an audience participation movie, a la Rocky Horror Picture Show. The thing about The Room is that it's just basically like a mainstream movie. It's set up as a mainstream movie. I think in Tommy Wiseau's head, and Greg said this last night, he sees it as like a mainstream movie, but it's like this mainstream movie from someone from like Mars or Venus, But I mean, it's otherwise, it's just a romantic drama, about all of these friends living in San Francisco, and someone's cheating on someone, and the other guy doesn't know it, and there's all of this, but he's my best friend, and it's just, I mean, it's a basic drama, but just told from this incredibly warped perspective. But at the same time, I wouldn't bat an eye taking my in-laws or taking, an older member of the family to see this movie, because it's just so funny. The reason why it's so funny is just because of how, it's weird that it's made, But otherwise, I mean, it's just like a normal movie, Anyone you grab off the street could understand this movie and understand the context of this movie. And that was the thing with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, is when I used to see it, it would play late at night, and it had that name, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I remember it used to play in Pensacola, Florida. That's where I used to go see it, at the Silver Screen Theater, the long forgotten, long departed, been out of business for a couple years now. Silver Screen Theater. And because it was a late night movie, and because it had that name, it would pull in a lot of people who had no idea what the Rocky Horror Picture Show was about. And they would sit in the back, and they would see these people dressed up in this crazy bondage stuff. And they'd be like, what the hell is going on? They'd be just like freaked out, But The Room, you wouldn't be freaked out. You'd be like, man, this is just a funny movie. This is just like ridiculous, Because I mean, it's just like the lead character, actor, force of nature, Tommy Wiseau. He looks so unusual, and he has this method of speaking which is vaguely Eastern European. It's very mysterious. He never really talks about where he came from. But he's obviously speaking this very accented, very particular version of the English language, and he has these weird expressions that he put in the screenplay, like, put your stupid opinions in your pocket, and all of this stuff. And I mean, it's become, mythos, lore. But it's just such a cool, weird... but, it's just like a regular movie, but it's just... It sets itself up, and it thinks it's a regular movie, but it really is just a crazy movie. It's that kind of aesthetic, It's this kind, but it's a very kind of... I don't know. It's very difficult to describe because it feels like the kind of modern cult film that is kind of, in its way, kind of self-aware, but aware, and it's... fun. And then there is the thing with the spoons. There's a picture of spoons in the movie, and everything is. Every time you see that, you go spoon, you throw it, and then there's all these weird stuff, but it just feels like a much nicer audience and more inviting than the Rocky Horror, which some people get like very hardcore into Rocky Horror, and it's like. Very standoffish. Like, this is like something that this is a declaration of a lifestyle. And it's just a movie. It's just a musical from the late 70s. It's I understand there's a sense of community that's fostered around it, but I guess The Room really could not. I don't think The Room could really support that kind of sense of community. That Rocky Horror has, because it's just such a... And Rocky Horror is just such a kind of a special movie and just kind of came out of nowhere and just so unique. And, obviously, I think Rocky Horror has its rough edges, but, the costuming and of course, the music, Richard O'Brien has really, had a vision with the music, and there's nothing like that in The Room. The musical sex scenes are quite ridiculous, but the whole thing, there is the building of the audience. The audience petition, you clap during the sex scenes and you throw spoons, and then people talk to the screen. But it's and some people have dressed up like the characters and gone to the shows, but it's just kind of a more kinder, gentler cult film experience, So a great film. I think if you want to ease into the cult film, if you want to, if you don't want to shock the hell out of somebody with Pink Flamingos or Eraserhead or El Topo or something that's just going to send people running down the aisle screaming, or something like Rocky Horror, The Room is a good way to do that. Yeah. I a very interesting, funny, crazy cult movie experience.